Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala barakatuh. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala syarfil anbiya wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Alhamdulillah, we are continuing our video, and I've explained to you in the previous video of the nature of unity from the perspective of the self, the ummah, humanity, this earth and all its creatures, and then the unity of the cosmos, and how we can look at the higher level from the perspective of Islamic ontology, that is the unity of the Godhood, that is Tawheed, and understanding the concept of what is Zahir and what is Batin, and the hierarchy of existence within the metaphysics of Islam. Inshallah, we'll go quite deep into it. It may be a little bit philosophical, but we have to go deep into this because I want to excite a lot of you who do research on Islamic psychology, especially Islamic philosophy, and understand the paradigm of which direction this ummah is going to go and survive beyond this 21st century, and what is the outcome of the climate disaster if we can surpass that. If not, whatever that we do will be futile, but inshallah, with the mercy, the compassion, and the grace and the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, will overcome that challenge. So I'll continue with ontology so that you can understand the perspective of the ontological paradigm that we have to face in the 21st century, and why we are moving towards our own existential destruction, this whole civilization. Why it is that way, I'm giving you some understanding at a deeper philosophical level, inshallah. Okay, so we are doing our life coach training program. As I mentioned to you, we have the certified PIP life coach on Islamic motivation coaching, counseling, mentoring, and what we need to do is to transform the ummah. And now I'm using a combination of consciousness research, mind-body, heart-cult research, and so on, to do, inshallah, over many videos, 200 over videos, inshallah, a book, Islam Heart of Love, where we integrate all the natural question of which direction and how this ummah is going to thrive and excel in the 21st century. So I've explained to you how the basis of Islam, the heart of love, from atheistic materialism of the current paradigm to a spiritual fullness of Iman, Islam and Ihsan, the heart of love, which I'm trying to draw upon. So we talk about the destruction or the degeneration of the Ummah the last 500 years. We talk about the Wasatiyah. All the previous video you can go through. We talk about the unity of Muslims, how we're going to work together, live together, share each other, love each other, and unity of humanity, and the unity of humanity and diversity, and the ontological paradigm that I'm going to talk today. Because I'm drawing you from the lower level, slowly, philosophically, also from the perspective of Islamic psychology, for you to understand where we stand vis-a-vis the various ontological paradigm that you see today. So there are many ontological paradigms, but I'm just summarizing it into three, which you need to know. I'm not making you a philosopher. Neither I'm a philosopher. I'm just a student of Islam and a student of psychology. And alhamdulillah, we have our book, Positive Islamic Psychology, a transcendent model to achieve peace, happiness, and success. I'm trying to integrate that into this. So, ontological paradigm, there are many, but for the last 300 years, we have this ontological materialism. So, materialism is the worldview. Ontology is the truth based on materialism. Everything and anything is based on the material things. There's no such thing as consciousness. There's no such thing as consciousness outside your brain. There's something outside. Everything is within your brain. Everything is material. This whole world is just a material thing. This whole universe is just a material thing. There is no externality to it. So it's just based on this whole idea of brute materialism. No purpose, no meaning, and the two greatest influencer will be Karl Marx. He's the father of communism, socialism, and the ism that up to today is still terrible, and we have Freudian psychology of materialism, and the basis of Karl Marx is the stomach, the basis of Freudian psychology is sex. So we have the two desire. Right, Imam Ghazali talk about, Rasulullah SAW talk about the two desire, and Imam Ghazali talk about the two desire exactly. The emphasis on materialism is filling your stomach and nothing more than that, because it's just material. You live and then you die, there's no resurrection, and then go through your sexual pleasure, because if you deprive yourself of sexual pleasure, you can do anything and everything based on Freudian psychology, because it is a sexual deprivation that make you mad. So both these two mad people brought about the dominant worldview that is the last 300 years. So what we see, yes, we see scientific progress insofar as material scientific progress, but we have a degeneration insofar as the intrinsic understanding of the nature of life, the nature of consciousness, and its relationship to the greater good. So there is no meaning and purpose in life in ontological materialism, and if we continue in this direction, total destruction of human civilization within 100 years is not what I say. You go to IPCC, International Panel for Climate Change, United Nations. What does their latest report? Their latest report says that we have to change our whole civilizational structure based on fossil fuel to carbon neutral. That means not carbon intensive, but carbon neutral. If not, we'll have mass starvation, we have climate change, or climate disaster, or climate emergency, we have food crop failure, we have rising of the sea level, and the CO2, the carbon dioxide level in the whole atmosphere based on the ice core over the last 3 million years never exceed 280 parts per million. The safe limit according to IPCC scientists is basically 350 parts per million. Today we have 415 parts per million. At 415 parts per million, we are going to go to 500 parts per million within 10 years. At 500 parts per million, the whole destruction of this earth is going to take place, because the overshoot of temperature, the heat that is already built up in the ocean, on the planet itself, it is going to have its own life and will shoot beyond 2 degrees to 4 degrees to 8 degrees. At that point, all mammalian life, that means we are mammal, all mammalian life will be completely destroyed, and we have no humanity left. So this is the materialism. The basis is that we exploit, we destroy, we pump CO2, who care less? And up to today, there are people who still deny, people like the President of America, Donald Trump, people who are involved in the fossil fuel industry. Oh, this is nothing, 415 parts per million, oh, no problem. So we have extreme temperature. And now the Antarctic is melting, the Arctic is melting completely. You're going to have, within a short while, an Arctic-free zone, ice-free, Arctic-free, ice-free zone in which Greenland will be exposed to the whole climate change and warming and so on. So we are actually leading towards a full destruction of this human civilization. The basis of that is the philosophical worldview of materialism. Alright, and I've given you many videos before that, because now I'm bringing you the philosophical concept, because I want you to draw upon and reflect. Can we continue that way? Can we live as just consumer, destructive, so-called scientific materialism, invent something, we invent fossil fuel, yes, alhamdulillah, that is good, but if we use it judiciously, it will be not a problem. But if we keep on pumping, build, destroy, pump, destroy, we have all the technological capacity, yet we are in denial. We deny that we are destroying this earth. We denying that there is mass extinction of all species on this earth. We are denying that finally we are going to destroy ourselves within 100 years. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billahil aliyyil azim. I just cannot imagine the madness, and I feel the sadness of how this madness of materialism bring us closer towards our own existential destruction. Humanity as we know, civilization as we know, will just destroy itself in the 22nd century. This is not what I'm saying. You go back to science. Now we have the sciences. With the ice-free Arctic, exposure to the extreme absorption of heat in the sea will cause more melting, and more melting at 500 parts per million. If they study the ice core, the sea level at that time is between 25 to 50 meters. That means if 25 meters is the minimum, we are talking about 75 feet of sea level rise that will inundate whole countries, Bangladesh, Shanghai, Bombay, New York, Florida, you name it. Everything will be underwater. But that is only a small part of it. The greatest part is how are you going to feed humanity, the 7 billion? There will be mass starvation to a level that you cannot imagine. Alright, I'm giving you this message not because I want to frighten you, because this is the reality. The ontological paradigm that we take as a dominant worldview, this Western ideological concept, this communistic, socialistic concept as a political force, as a so-called scientific paradigm, is finally going to destroy ourselves. So we have to shift. So how are we going to shift? I'm then going to explain to you about what are the ontological idealism. That is another alternative. And then we have to talk about the ontological, scriptural and revelational aspect, okay, which Islam falls into it. And for example, the people of the book and people who are religious, they are coming to this. So these two are not that bad. All right. So how are we going to then move from materialism to idealism to revelation? And if we can draw upon that, then we can understand the nature of our existence, where we bring about from the love of Allah to ourselves, the love of ourselves, the love of family, the love of humanity, the love of this cosmos, and how we can bring about the understanding of the unity of the cosmos from the perspective of the created thing, that means the Zahir, and from the perspective of the creator, the Batin, and how this is formulated within the ontology of Islam, inshallah, over the more videos as we develop understanding of this ontology. From this ontological materialism, that's where you have the epistemology of materialism. This is where the whole worldview is based on, and then the same thing with idealism and the same thing with revelation. And how this is going to play out is something that inshallah, with the grace, the mercy and the love of Allah, we can avoid this climate disaster that will engulf this world if we are not careful, if we do not shift from materialism to idealism to God. That is our only hope. So inshallah, I've given you a big idea of ontology and how we Muslims can play a part in terms of shifting the worldview, the mindset from materialism back to the Godhood, inshallah.